Hello, welcome back to another exciting episode of Quantum Vibes. I'm so excited to be here with you again today, and we continue the journey of how I travel the world in 45 days, visiting 10 countries all by myself. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. It's Quantum Vibes. 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 Welcome back. Welcome back. So we left things off at day 36, still in South Korea, leaving from Seoul to Hong Kong. So I get on my plane. You know, everything is standard at this point. Just know that I do try to use the lounges when I go to the airport, relax over there, move from there, go to my plane, and then sleep on the plane. I do not eat plane food, period. So I finally get to Hong Kong, and I was just thinking, how do I get to my hotel? I Googled it. I knew that I didn't want to take an airport ride, like a taxi all the way out to my hotel. And I've heard that the Hong Kong transportation system is very, very good. So I was just thinking, why not? But you guys, it's not the same as my experience in Europe with all of that train wahala that I had to go through. But anyway, before I did that, I still had some won with me. I didn't manage to spend it all. I still had a lot. Yeah, my sister sent me a lot of money. So I ended up converting it. So literally at the airport, there's a machine where you can put your currency in and then you can get the local currency back. So I converted that to Hong Kong dollars. And then I was just thinking, okay, how do I now get this transportation card to get onto the train or whatever? So there's a thing in Hong Kong called Octopus, and it is so convenient. All the steps are written in English for you to follow. I went online, I downloaded the application, and then I ended up saving it to my Apple Wallet, and then I could get this, transfer money from my bank account onto Octopus without even any hassle. It was very, very different from the Wild Pass experience in South Korea, where I needed cash to put into a machine to load money first. I mean, it was a hassle. But Hong Kong was starting to look like Western civilization, and I was thinking, yes, alas. So I was excited about that. So your girl drags her suitcases, and then she goes onto this express beautiful train, taps with her octopi. Well, it's called Octopus. Anyway, I'm just messing around. But yeah, I get on the train, and then once I get dropped off, then I see like different signs, and I'm like, okay, how do I leave this place to go to my hotel? Now, as I was looking in Google Maps, it was just saying all these things, and I'm like, I don't want a situation where I'm dragging 3 suitcases along looking for a bus terminal. So I'm just gonna go catch a cab. We queue up, and then taxis will now come, pull up, and then you sit in. So it's almost like fast come, fast serve, but then it's a queue. Like nobody tells you to queue up, but then everybody's doing it, so you just follow suit, right? Everything is orderly. So I finally get the famous Hong Kong taxi. And this is when I first figured out that Hong Kong drives on the wrong side of the street. I've never truly looked up Hong Kong to understand the history. I didn't know anything about this country. I just knew that Jinho was there, and I was thinking it would be such a breath of fresh air for me to meet somebody that I know again. Because up until then, you know, coming from Saudi Arabia, wasn't able to meet my friend. Then South Korea was my longest stay. Didn't know anybody personally in South Korea. However, fast forward, I get to my hotel, and this taxi cab was like, oh, I only charge in cash. Like I take money in cash. And I'm like, oh, what? At this point, I wasn't going to give up my dollars so easily, because I just felt like I didn't know what the situation was. And I kind of was clutching to my Hong Kong dollars. I didn't want to use it. I wanted to pay with my card, you know, because I was thinking I'm in Hong Kong and it's possible. But the taxi driver was adamant that it had to be cash. And then he's like, oh, maybe go ask the hotel staff, you know, maybe they can help you. So I went to my hotel, and then, you know, first time I'm meeting the receptionist and everything, and I'm asking for a favor for money. You guys, can you imagine that? So I go up to her and I say, hey, I'm so sorry. My taxi driver wants cash. Could you please give me some cash to pay them, and then you can just charge it to my tab or whatever. And get this. So in Hong Kong, yeah, Actually, it's common because a lot of tourists might not have cash on them, so the hotel will just charge you a surcharge, so a little bit more, and then add it to your hotel tab, and they have this whole system. So they took out the cash, paid the driver went away, and I was just thinking, oh, how so convenient. So I get into my room, I explore the area, it looks very nice. I was overlooking this tennis court and I was super close to the transportation system, so I was very excited to use it. I wake up bright and early, and actually I could barely sleep because I was just kind of all over the place. My sleep schedule was a bit off still. And I looked at this tour. It was just kind of a guided tour for Hong Kong, just learning about the history. And get this, the tour also had lunch with it. So this was my first time actually going on a tour where the lunch was inclusive of the price that you pay for the tour. And it was kind of inexpensive too. So that was a surprise to me. But I was just thinking, you know, as I was just telling you before, I didn't have the history of Hong Kong. I didn't know what it was. And I was just thinking, this would be a great time for me to immerse myself there. And what I hadn't mentioned earlier was that my friend Jinho unfortunately could not meet me the following day once I arrived. He had some emergency come up, so I was again by myself, but it was fine because I was excited to learn the history of Hong Kong. So we're meant to meet in front of a bank in the city, in the downtown of Hong Kong. So I look up the directions, I walk to the train station, and everything works. You know, my octopus works, I get on the train, everything is so clear. Oh my God, it's such a big difference between South Korea transportation and Hong Kong. Hong Kong was feeling more like Chicago, I'm not gonna lie. I got on the train, got off, and then I was able to easily find the bank, even though it's like a cluster of different buildings. My Apple Maps was point on, like it was able to take me right in front of them, and then I was able to join the tour. And that's how I began to learn about the history of Hong Kong. So the first stop that we did was we actually went to this area. So part of the history is back in the day, and actually go pursue history for yourself, okay? This is not a history channel. I'm just telling you from memory what I learned. But basically they had the police headquarters, the magistrate court, and the prisons all in the same environment. So basically, when you get arrested, then you're put in the prisons to wait for your trial. You go straight to court, and if you're found guilty, you just go straight to prison. So it's a very efficient system. And from what I understand, the Hong Kongers are very efficient people. They don't waste time. They try to be very efficient in everything that they do. So that was an interesting tidbit. Also, as we're going to go visit that area, that historical site, there's an escalator, right? You know how we have simple escalators in our malls and stuff like that? Because it's so hilly and there's so many companies that go on, like that have offices in the city, they have the world's longest escalator. So during the day, during rush hour, so the tour was around 10:30, and rush hour, you'll be thinking rush hour traffic, it's literally foot rush hour, right? So when it's rush hour, I think between the hours of 7 and 9, that's rush hour for the workers. So then they change the direction of the escalators to make it easier for them to climb up to go to their offices. And then after that rush hour, they turn it back, and then, you know, people that are just walking about, going about their normal days, they can easily also use the escalator. So I was able to get on the longest escalator in the entire world, like the whole universe, which is interesting to me. And that's how I learned about, you know, the history of Hong Kong. And there was this class system, this caste system basically. And would you even know that the Indians were even ranked higher, you know, higher class members of society in Hong Kong? And they talked about, you know, this whole history about China and Hong Kong, and how Hong Kongers have, up until I forget the year, but then they sign an agreement to say that Hong Kong will stay on its own, and then it will be revisited. And I think that is kind of coming up pretty soon. Also, people that were born before 1999 in Hong Kong, I believe that they also have the British passport, because guess what? That's why they were driving on the wrong side of the road, because they were colonized by the British as well. And I'm like, I'm like learning all these things, and it kind of makes sense. You know, you hear the history, and you hear how, you know, I don't know if I could say this on YouTube, but the drugs were sold and how people got addicted, and they were able to come onto Hong Kong land because of the sea and the shipping and the harbor and all of these things. So it's almost like history has become very similar in different parts of the world. And I'm saying this based off of my limited 45-day travel, where I'm juxtaposing what I learned in Europe to what I'm learning in Asia and all of these things. And it's just interesting how the world has always been connected in some sort of way. We finished that, and then we go to the police quarters. So they had a place where they allowed the policemen to stay. So if you're part of the police, you have a quarters which is really close to the police station or whatever. So they showed us that, and it was very efficient. Again, you know, you have just enough size bed for yourself to sleep on and all of those things. And then I took some photographs from there. Then after that, we walked to the dim sum restaurant. So the lady that was our tour guide, she took us to this restaurant, ordered for us. You know, obviously I don't know how to order or whatever, and she said it's called dim sum. Some of you call it dim sum, but she said it's dim sum. Okay. And also in Hong Kong they speak Cantonese, but I think now the language is turning into Mandarin more, so very few people are speaking Cantonese. However, she did teach us this. She said if you want to say thank you to somebody for food, like if they serve you and stuff like that, you could just like go like that, you know, knock on the table to kind of show your gratitude, which is interesting. And yeah, you don't go and say xie xi because that is Cantonese land, so xie xi is more Mandarin. I guess Chinese, hey, don't quote me on this, okay? I just know xie xi is not a thing you say in Hong Kong, okay? All right. Anyway, so after the tour, she decides to take us on a ferry to go over to Victoria Island, and it was so beautiful, overlooking the city from the river. And I was just thinking, oh, how amazing, right? So after that, I decided that, you know what, I should maybe come back to this because I do love to be on the ocean, on the sea. I like water, and I just like to take cruises. I don't know, there's something so calming about the handiworks of God and how vast and wide the ocean is. So it just kind of gives me a sense of calm, honestly. So after the whole tour, I got back on the train. At this point, I had kind of mastered it. I knew exactly where my stop was, got off, and then got to my hotel. And then I stayed indoors to relax a little bit. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like this video, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next clip. I hope that you enjoy the jingle. Make sure you do a dance challenge for that. I'm not a good dancer, but I try. I'm not a good dancer, so take that video, take that audio away and make a challenge out of it. All right, guys, take care. Bye. Thank you.
K to the W to the A to the end the same. Yeah. K to the W to the A to the end the same. Come see my vibes. Come see my vibes. Come see my vibes. See my vibes. Come see my vibes. Come see my vibes. Come see my vibes. You're okay vibing, we just vibing. Yeah, we stay vibing, vibing out here. Why won't you subscribe? Why won't you subscribe? Let's go. Follow me on IG, follow me on TikTok. You can find me everywhere you look. Support my YouTube, support my IG, support my TikTok. Thank you. Consamida, I thank you. Kumawaya, I thank you. Kumawaya, I thank you. Stay vibing. Go and see my vibe signing out. Woo.